Hello, everyone. Recently, Elon Musk had a conversation with Tucker Carlson, where he expressed concern about a potential economic crisis similar to the one that happened in 1929, the Great Depression. Some people might agree with him and think he's right, while others might dismiss it as fear-mongering, believing it wouldn't happen. But it's essential to look closely at what Elon is saying and examine the current state of the banking sector, the US economy, and how it's affecting ordinary American consumers. By doing this, we can better understand the situation. Unfortunately, it seems that Elon's warning might have some validity. In this video, I'll share the information that Elon is looking at behind the scenes, so we can all be well informed and make intelligent decisions to prepare ourselves for the potential uncertainty that lies ahead. However, before we begin our video, we would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel and also press that bell icon. Now, let's get started. Elon has been warning Mr. Carlson about a possible upcoming Great Depression, which is similar to what happened in 1929. During that time, a massive 9,000 banks failed, causing the loss of $7 billion in depositor assets. Now, to put things into perspective, that was a huge amount of money back then. If we look at the current situation, it's starting to resemble the conditions that led to the Great Depression. There are overvalued shares, growing bank loans, agricultural overproduction, panic selling, stock purchases on margin, higher interest rates, and negative media industry, all of which were major factors that contributed to the 1929 crisis. Reports have recently indicated a significant shift in the American banking landscape. Stanford University predicts potential losses of $2.2 trillion, and nervous consumers are causing more bank runs, leading to unrealized losses. It's crucial to consider how this situation affects typical American consumers. The stability of the banking sector and the overall economy directly impacts their lives. People today have less money than ever, and the cost of living is higher than ever. This means they have to spend more money on daily expenses and have more debt to deal with. The situation is getting tougher because Jerome Powell is increasing interest rates, making debt even more expensive. The result of all this is clear. More and more people will likely face difficulties paying off their debts. The banks are aware of this and are preparing for it. For instance, JP Morgan is setting aside more money to cover defaults caused by the cost of living crisis. Other banks like Wells Fargo are also seeing a decline in depositors during the second quarter and are becoming stricter in their lending practices after the rate hikes. The idea behind these actions is to prevent the need for further increases in interest rates. Overall, it's a challenging situation, and the banks are taking measures to brace themselves for potential problems ahead. Let's discuss what might happen when interest rates increase and banks reduce lending. This change will significantly impact regular Americans and small business owners. The Federal Reserve plans to increase U.S. bank reserve requirements, which means they want banks to keep more money in reserve. Here's something many people don't know. In the past few years, the reserve requirements were reduced or eliminated, allowing banks to lend a lot of money. Additionally, a surprising fact is that 40% of all the US dollars in circulation were printed in just the last 3 years. From 1776 until now, that's a massive increase in the money supply. With record low interest rates and people making profits from investments like stocks and cryptocurrencies, everyone seems to be doing well financially. However, things will likely change as new reserve requirements are implemented. Banks will have to hold on to more money, which means they will lend less. The banking industry disagrees with this move, calling it misguided, but it will still affect lending. So it's essential to consider how this will impact the typical American consumer and their financial situation. Right now, the average income is around $34,987 per year. Some households might have two earners, which is quite common. So if we consider that, some people might think they're making double that amount, like $70,000 or $75,000. But even if we increase some of their expenses like cell phone bills, food costs, car payments, and car insurance by 2 times, they still spend more than they earn. In other words, they are spending more money than they have. which is a problem. Banks are closely looking at these numbers and becoming concerned. In the past couple of years, when people received stimulus money and PPP loans, they didn't save it. Instead, they used it to take out more loans. Some bought expensive cars, started businesses, or made investments. As a result, the money wasn't saved, it was spent. And many people accumulated even more debt. The situation is worth considering and understanding its implications. The regional banking sector is expected to face significant losses, especially among people under 30 years old. Car loan delinquencies are at a 15-year high, which could be an early warning sign of economic trouble. Despite their credit scores improving during the pandemic, many Americans are now struggling to repay their loans and lines of credit, indicating potential economic difficulties ahead. Billionaire Howard Marks is raising concern about commercial real estate as he warns of a coming wave of mortgage defaults. Ken Griffin, the world's most successful hedge fund manager, reported that consumers still have about $1 trillion in extra savings from the pandemic. However, they are spending around $100 billion each month, which means they could use up their pandemic savings in just a few months. This could lead consumers in a challenging financial situation within the next 3 to 6 months. To address inflation, Jerome Powell plans to implement 2 more interest rate hikes, which could also impact unemployment rates. When people talk about the booming real estate market or stocks, I wonder where the money will come from. It's unlikely to come from US consumers because they face significant financial challenges. Home insurance costs are increasing across the country, as are utility bills. In just 1 year, the average utility bill in Florida rose by $500. Car insurance is also up 17.1%, and food prices have climbed by 11.4%. Meanwhile, real wages are falling, which means people have less money to spend on these increasing expenses. Investors are holding on to about $5.3 trillion in cash and becoming more pessimistic about the stock market as they see signs of trouble. Bank of America noticed this trend early on and reported that consumers' creditworthiness is still good. They looked at average FICO scores for various types of loans, like consumer credit cards, auto loans, new mortgages, and home equity lines, and the scores remain quite high. All these factors indicate that many Americans are facing financial difficulties, and it's challenging to see where the money will come from to support booming markets in the current economic situation. Back then, the banks were already seeing the signs of trouble, and that's what I believe will happen now. Banks will face significant losses on auto, credit cards, home, and commercial real estate loans. These losses could be massive. As a result, the banks will still lend money in the future, but they will be much more cautious. They will tighten up their lending standards. Only people with cash, good credit, and strong qualifications to repay the loans will likely get approved. Others might find it difficult to get loans. I've been warning people about the biggest wealth transfer in history because that's what's happening now. In the past, America's wealth was mostly in the middle class, but unfortunately, the middle class is facing significant challenges and is in trouble. We'll likely witness a shift in wealth from the middle class to a new group, some of whom might still be considered middle class, but they will be lifted into the top 1%. This transfer of wealth will be significant, and that's why it's crucial to work on improving your credit and securing your financial position now. The next 3 to 5 years are expected to be quite unpredictable and eventful. What are your thoughts on the situation? Do you agree with Elon's warning about the potential 1929-style depression? Or do you believe it'll be a smoother transition, as some have suggested in the past, like in 2007, 2000, and the 1980s? The future holds many uncertainties, so staying informed and prepared is important. They've made similar claims in the past, like in the 1970s and the 1960s. They assured us of all the smooth recovery during every recession, but that never really happened. So I think Elon is likely correct in his assessment. Some might disagree with him, but I find it hard to ignore the signs of trouble ahead. That's it for today. Enjoyed our content? Consider subscribing and giving us a thumbs up. To elevate your experience, check out our exclusive membership program. Become a legend, innovator, or visionary and enjoy incredible benefits. don't forget to hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.